Bonjour! Aujourd'hui, je parle un peu en français parce que quand Tom et moi arrivent ici, pour la première année, c'est très difficile pour nous parce que nous n'avons pas de langue, pas de mots en français. Donc c'est très difficile pour connecter avec les autres gens, pour aller au magasin, c'est difficile. Mais maintenant, c'est plus en plus mieux. Ce n'est pas trop difficile maintenant. Ma français, ce n'est pas parfait. De temps en temps, c'est terrible. Mais c'est possible pour moi à communiquer avec les autres. Et je suis très contente avec ça parce que quand j'étais à l'école en Angleterre et j'ai appris le français, j'étais terrible. Et finalement, le professeur, elle a dit non, fini, c'est trop mal, ce n'est pas possible pour continuer avec le français. Donc pour cette raison, je suis très contente que maintenant c'est possible pour moi à vivre ici, à parler avec les autres en français un peu. Je comprends beaucoup aussi. Donc c'est bien. Hello! I thought today I'd talk a little bit about French and the French language and our massive challenge in learning French. And I thought I'd just start off so you could actually hear me talking a little bit of French. It's hard to know what to say, but I'm sure you could understand that because it's very basic French and you've probably got a good gist of it. And because I'm an English person speaking French, it's much easier to understand than a French person. And it's slow for one thing. And the pronunciation, a lot of it is more English than a French person would say it. But I just wanted to illustrate a bit that, yeah, I can speak French now and that feels really good. And I'm not brilliant, but I can say most of the things that I want to say. And I can understand most of what people are saying. Not always, and it depends on the person. A lot of French people speak really fast. And some accents are different, just like they're different in the UK. But generally, I can understand. And that just makes a huge difference. And it's something I wanted to do a video about because so many people asked us that before we came to France. So many people said, but can you speak French? And we were like, no, we can't speak any French. Very little, like I just said, just what we learnt at school, which wasn't very good. But at the time, we were carried away on the whole dream of coming to France and we didn't see that as an obstacle. And when we arrived here for that first year, it was really just me and Tom, heads down, trying to build this house and make it into a home. And then after that first year, we were in a better position to socialise because we actually did have a home and it was a lot easier to do things like normal things like keep clean and change into other clothes and have people round and things like that. So all the normal things we could do. So after that first year, we really made a conscious decision to move outwards and actually connect with people within our community and try and meet people because we knew hardly anyone. We just knew our very close neighbours. And like I said before, probably Anne-Marie from the library and Herman and his daughter from the campsite. And that was about it. So we knew that we wanted to make more connections and we knew that a big key to that was learning the language. So the first thing we did was enrol, actually no, the first thing I did, Tom didn't do this straight away, there was a French-English conversation class that took place in the next village. And so I went along to that. It took a lot of courage. It's amazing, these things you do as an adult, you get sometimes just get a bit out of the habit of going out of your comfort zone and doing something new. And languages, it takes a lot of courage to try and speak a different language or to be with people that don't understand you and you don't understand them. But this was a great group. It was for French people and English people, and it was French-English conversation. And so half the class, half the time you were speaking English and half the time you were speaking French, and you had little exercises to do in both languages. You worked in groups of 4, so you were 2 French people, 2 English people, and it worked really well. And that really helped, and it helped me to make some friends. I met my great friend Aisha there. And from Aisha, I met loads of other people because she knew a lot of people. I met a really good friend as well, Audrey, who's a French friend, and I'm still friends with her, and that was through that group. So that group was really quite key certainly in my settling in France and my feeling more integrated and just knowing more people was a really good thing. And then a bit later on, Tom and I both enrolled in a proper French class where we went every week. Again, it was up in the next village. And then one or two people that I'd met through the conversation class were there as well. And that was English people just learning French together. Actually taught by an Irish woman who set up the course and everything. But her and her husband were brilliant and they spoke such good French. And so they ran this course, and we went there for, I think we must have done that for 3, maybe 4 years, and that really helps. It sounds like a long time, that, to think of the level of French I've got, but it was quite a long time, and it was a slow process, but it was enjoyable as well, and I can't say there was actually too much effort going in between the classes. The classes lasted about an hour and a half. I don't think I did an awful lot in between, to be honest. So there wasn't that much effort going into that. Tom and I did have various tapes and things as well that we tried to do together, which was just a nightmare. And because very quickly I was just a little bit fractionally ahead with Tom. We were both at a very similar level, and I was just a little bit faster in picking it up. And that's a bit of a nightmare if you're doing it together, because even though you're more or less the same really, but one of you's just a little bit ahead of the game with it, then if you're doing it together, you're coming in all the time. So I'd be coming in with the answers on the tape, and I'd be saying the thing and doing that, how bad can that be for someone? That's totally soul destroying. But I wasn't actually much better. And I think also we soon stopped doing that. And I think the other thing is that when we first arrived here, I really felt like I'd had my arm cut off. I felt like a massive part of who I was missing. I found it so difficult to be up in the shops and not to be able to just pass the time of day with people, not just to have those tiny conversations that I would normally have all the time. I'm normally someone who's quite chatty with strangers and interested in people, and that's just part of who I am. And so not to be able to do that and be like this, become this very quiet person, just didn't feel like me. And that was quite a big thing for me. And so it was also a massive impetus just to keep trying. And what I did was, I suppose, again, maybe personality comes into it. I just kept having a go, which I wouldn't have thought I would be like that. I certainly wasn't like that at school. But here, I would have a go. So even though my French was really bad, it was really minimal, I still said what I could. I tried to say things. I tried to speak to people. Sometimes it was horrible. Occasionally it was a complete disaster. I remember coming back from the shop once. I'd gone just to our village shop to get a few provisions. And it was on a Sunday morning, which is really busy here on the Sunday morning in the shop. And there was a massive queue of people. And I was at the front of the queue, and there was all this queue. I remember the woman was saying something to me, and I just could not understand what she was saying. In fact, to this day, I don't know what she was trying to say to me. She was a lovely woman, but she persisted to try and get me to understand. And then by that time, a sort of barrier had gone down in my head where I just thought, I want to be out of here, just let me out. And so, I don't know, I said something and left. And I just remember feeling so upset, and it was just horrible, and it was just the embarrassment and the humiliation of it. But that didn't happen. That was such a rare occurrence, and people were so nice. They were so lovely to us and so patient. They had so much patience with us, very encouraging and very friendly once they could see you were trying to say something. So over the years, I think it was very slow progress. I got to a point quickly where I felt okay with the small, like the weather, your children, basic sort of conversation like that. I think that happened certainly within a year or two, which probably still seems a bit slow. But remember, I was someone who was very bad at languages and I was told to stop doing French and German because I was so poor. I have to say, mainly through lack of effort, I think. But it was slow progress, but that's because most of the time we're together here and we were just talking English, and then of course we met one or two English friends. There's not a lot of English people here. It's not like the Dordogne, but the few that there are, you soon connect up and you soon get to know each other. And it is such a relief when you're in a foreign country. It's such a relief to be with people that you can talk to easily and who get your humour and get your history and that kind of thing. And so there is a tendency to do that clumping together thing. I completely get it why people do that. It's a huge, bigger effort to actually speak to French people or people that haven't got the same language. The big thing here, though, is it's quite a mixed population. And so we've got a lot of people that are Dutch and Belgium. We've got some German friends as well, a Danish lady. And so there's a lot of different nationalities. And the people that speak Dutch tend to be very good at speaking English as well. So like Anne-Marie in the library, she's Dutch and she speaks very good English and French. And so those people become like your next, so moving on from English people to people who are not English but speak English. And they're a really good link, because then if you're with them and in a situation with French people, they help you along a bit and help to translate the odd thing you want to say and explain things to you. And so they're a really good bridge, I've always felt anyway. And then finally you start to meet French people, and through working as well, we met people through the jobs we've done. I'll talk about the jobs we've done another time, and that did help as well. And I think finally the thing that really helped me more recently for the last year, I took a little job just looking after a 99-year-old lady who lived in the next village, and I would just help her with her shopping and spend time with her and just be a bit of a companion for 4 hours a week. So it was 2 lots of 2 hours every week, and that was so good for me because she didn't speak a word of English, so I absolutely had to speak French. She was extremely tolerant of my French, and between us we managed to have a really good conversation. In fact, I would say she became a friend, and that really helped me. And my language came on massively then. It was like suddenly it took another little jump. And I think that's what happens. You sort of do a little jump, then it plateaus, then you learn a bit more, and it sort of goes like that. And I was just at the point of thinking, maybe I should have some more French lessons and really try and up my game a bit. And then I got this little job, and I think that just did the little bit that I was looking for at the time. And I still think now it would be good to speak better French. It would be very good. I've sort of got to a point where I'm happy. And I feel quite proud of my little self, because I would never have thought when I was at school, I think back to myself at school and think you would never in a million years think of that girl then being who I am now and living in France and having conversations and having French friends. It's just like, wow. So that gives me some pleasure. I have to say, Tom has found it much harder. He understands easily as much as I understand, if not more at times, probably because he's listening more, whereas I'm maybe talking more. And so he's got a great understanding, but he finds it so hard to speak French. And that seems to be the thing round here, is that a lot of the men in the couples, men seem to find it much more difficult. So whether that's it is a thing between the sexes, that maybe the women are a little bit more sociable and it feels very important to have those connections and things. I've no idea, but just my experience here has been that amongst friends that the men seem to find it more difficult. But I think also what tends to happen is that it's that thing at the beginning where I said, if one of you just gets ahead a little bit, then you tend to become the one. So that if you need to, ring up about the car or make an appointment with the doctors or go into the shop or do something, then because you are the best one, you're the one that's pushed forwards, if you like, or who goes forwards and takes on that challenge. And then, of course, it's not helping the other one either. So I would say if you are moving to another country, you don't speak the language or you want to improve the language, I would absolutely recommend some kind of immersion course, or going and actually spending time with a family, or on one of those courses where all you do is speak French for, say, a couple of weeks or something. I think that would be the fastest and best way to do it. It's really being with people and speaking the language, hearing lots of it. And a lot of people recommend listening to the television and the radio and things like that. But I didn't really do much. Well, we didn't have a telly, but the radio I tried a few times, and I tried it in the car, but I found it actually quite irritating after a while, so I didn't really do that. But I think that probably would help as well. But certainly that immersion thing is, I would say, the fastest way to do it. If I was to move to another country and start again, I would really try and go somewhere and stay with a family, or work on a little organic farm, or do some voluntary work or something to pick up the language. So there you are. So yeah, so au revoir, and oui, à bientôt.